What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more INXS, and we're returning to Kick. Once again, big shout out to Nikita. And the next track, which I believe is the penultimate tune on the album, is Calling All Nations, which sounds like it has some dramatic geopolitical import. Of course, this could be figurative or a phrase related to some cultural entity, a film perhaps, so it might not be as grand and international as it sounds, but taking it at face value, it does sound like something that requires a global response, or people all around the world have to gird and brace for, or otherwise approach and engage with. So we'll see what I can catch on a first listen. This is INXS. The track is Calling All Nations, and it's from their 1987 album Kick. It's like this deep, layered, or heavy supporting vocal that I was catching in the latter stages of the tune. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what it's about, but it sounds like he's saying if your axe is to the wheel, or, nose to the grindstone, and the news seems bad, you have to get a shift. You have to feel a change and perhaps go down to that party and I think dance. So it sounds like it's a message of not letting the grind of daily life or the bad news out in the world reduce you to a point where you can't have enjoyable or cathartic experiences. So calling all nations and an attempt to send a revelatory shockwave around the globe and to get people to engage in a more positive and dynamic way. I don't quite know if I'm hearing the themes correctly, but the lines that I did catch certainly seemed to suggest that it was about pulling back from that daily grind and finding something more and perhaps something that can be embraced no matter where you are or where you come from. But yes, definitely more of that danceable, like blues rock almost. I wouldn't necessarily say it was full on blues rock, but it had a bit of that bluesy guitar and some fluttering guitar work that was almost making me think of a bit of the Edge's guitar work in U2, but also a very danceable rhythm, great vocals, and it felt short, I will say. It felt like maybe like a 3.5 minutes. Not even, like just over 3, so definitely a shorter one. But it felt like there was a real warmth and persistence coming through. And as I often talk about with blues or blues rock, one of the essence of those related genres is the idea of persistence. The world might be against you, it might be bearing down on you, it might be unfair to you, you might have burdens beyond what seems appropriate or proportionate, but the essence is that you're still here, you're shouting out to the world and proclaiming the injustice, and by extension finding ways to continue on and to carry on and hopefully come around to another horizon where things are better. So it feels like that was some of the meaning here, which may be influencing why it came across as a bit of a like pop style blues rock track. Either way, I love those little guitar flourishes at the end of each of the bars. They really stood out. And yeah, definitely an energetic tune. It had a lot of groove but also energy to it. So yeah, curious to hear what the themes of this might actually be and whether I'm at least heading in the right direction with the way that I took the lines that I did catch on a first listen. Once again, shout out to Nikita. As I said, there's one more tune on the proper album, but there's an extras folder because again, this is the Japan release of the album, which I've come to understand through a number of deep dives I've been going through that often the Japanese market would get a little bit extra, some bonus tunes or material that was not included on other versions of the release, so I do think we have some bonus tracks coming once we finish the album proper. In any case, let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.